The velvet box sat on our kitchen counter like a threat wrapped in fake neighborly kindness. My husband Jason opened it and said, "It doesn't even have a name tag." I froze. I knew exactly who sent it and why. By the next morning, our entire life in Willow Creek Estates would be flipped upside down. The watch inside gleamed under the lights, brightling, easily 10 grand, the kind you see on yacht ads, not on the wrist of someone who just pays HOA dues like the rest of us. My stomach churned. 20 years of marriage had taught me to trust my gut, and right now every nerve screamed danger. My name is Eva, and I've always believed the best gifts come with love, not strings the size of a noose. That Saturday morning on Jason's 45th birthday, he'd lifted the sleek black package from our doorstep. No shipping label, no return address, just our names in elegant calligraphy. "Did you order something?" he asked, already tearing paper. I said no, voice tighter than the HOA's grass height rule. "Maybe your parents." He shrugged, but his folks in Florida sent golf balls and Hawaiian shirts. Never anything that screamed money. This was wrong. Too fancy. Too expensive. Too much like a bribe. Wow, Jason breathed, opening the velvet box. The watch nestled in white silk looked like it belonged to a CEO, not the guy who ran weekend barbecues for the neighborhood kids. "Don't touch it," I snapped. His hand froze. "What's wrong?" "Everything." I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned the box over, recognizing the logo from those luxury catalogs my old roommate used to drool over. This model cost more than our SUV. "Eva, you're scaring me," Jason said softly. I set it down like it might explode. "Think about it. Who do we know who could afford this?" He frowned. Then the light bulb hit. "Your parents." I almost laughed. My parents lived on fixed income, and the tiny stipend the HOA paid them for part-time admin work at the clubhouse. They clipped coupons, not Rolexes. Then the name hung in the air like smoke. Dylan. My younger brother. 6 months ago, he'd rolled up to Sunday dinner in a Tesla, bragging about his new Premier Ground Services startup. Around the same time, Dad started pushing that new landscaping contractor on the HOA board. I should have connected the dots sooner. The contract switch, the one that was supposed to save the community thousands on lawn care, pool maintenance, and pest control, the one that had started making people sick. We discovered the truth just 2 days ago. Expired chemicals relabeled, substandard fertilizers causing rashes on kids at the playground, pools turning green and giving residents respiratory issues. Jason had drafted the termination letter yesterday. It was sitting in his laptop bag, ready for Monday's board meeting. "This is a bribe," I said, the words tasting like battery acid. "Or a threat. Or both." Jason picked up the box again, studying it like evidence in a crime show. "We need photos, timestamps, everything." I grabbed my phone, hand steadier now that we had a plan, as I snapped shots from every angle. A terrible certainty settled in my chest. This wasn't just about one shady contract. This was my family, the people I'd carried for years, choosing greed over the neighborhood we'd all sworn to protect. "We're still terminating it," Jason said. It wasn't a question. Yes, I met his eyes. "And we're firing my parents from their HOA roles." The words should have hurt more. Maybe that's what scared me most. How fast betrayal turns love into steel. Jason wrapped his arms around me. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked at a passing golf cart. Normal Saturday sounds in our perfect gated community. But in our kitchen, where I'd just begun. "Happy birthday," I murmured. He kissed my head. Memorable. At least, the watch kept gleaming, beautiful and poisonous as a copperhead. Tomorrow we'd return it. Tomorrow we'd fight. Tonight we'd plan. Looking back, the signs were there if I'd wanted to see them. I'd been the responsible one since I was 12, balancing Mom's checkbook after Dad lost his factory job, working extra shifts so Dylan could get braces, emptying my college savings when their car died. "You're too soft on them," Jason used to say after I paid their phone bill for the third month running. He didn't get it. He came from a family where parents took care of kids, not the other way around. Willow Creek changed everything for us. What started as weekend volunteer work at the clubhouse pool had turned into me getting elected treasurer and Jason helping with events. We poured our hearts in, organizing holiday picnics, funding new playground equipment, keeping the common areas pristine so property values stayed high. Karen Whitfield, our HOA president, loved to remind everyone at every meeting, we're protecting what matters most, our homes and our investment. Her smile was always perfect. Her clipboard always ready with another fine for someone's flag being 2 inches too big. 6 months ago, Mom had called crying. The landlord's raising rent again. That night, Jason and I talked it over. The HOA needed help with admin anyway, filing, answering phones, basic bookkeeping. Why not hire my parents part-time? It would give them steady income and us reliable help. Win-win. You sure about mixing family and HOA business? Jason had asked. Then my parents, I'd said. They won't let us down. The first months were golden. Mom arrived early, brewing coffee for board meetings. Dad organized the supply closet like it was boot camp. They charmed the volunteers, remembered every resident's name. I felt proud. Finally, my family was giving back instead of taking. Then Dylan started showing up. My baby brother, the eternal dreamer, soccer scholarship that fizzled, music career that went nowhere. Suddenly, he was in designer clothes, talking about premier ground services. We're revolutionizing community maintenance, he'd said, sliding a glossy brochure across the clubhouse table. 30% cheaper than your current guy. Dad had nodded during the next board lunch. You're paying too much for lawn and pool chemicals. I found someone better. 30% meant thousands redirected to new lighting or fixing the cracked sidewalk Karen always ignored unless it was someone else's house. I should have asked more questions. Instead, I smiled and said, Dad's just trying to help. The paperwork looked legit. References checked out. Now I know we called numbers Dylan provided. The first deliveries arrived on time. Everything sealed and labeled. We celebrated the savings at the monthly meeting. Your family's a godsend, Karen had purred, her voice dripping honey while her eyes stayed cold. Property values are everything. After all, the complaints started small. Someone mentioned the new fertilizer smelled off. A few kids skipped the splash pad after getting rashes. We chalked it up to allergies, summer heat. You know. Then little Tommy Chan broke out in hives, so bad his mom rushed him to urgent care. The doctor said chemical exposure. That night, Jason and I went through every invoice, past the new labels dated yesterday to the real stamps underneath. The pesticides were months expired. The fertilizer's cheap knockoffs relabeled with shiny stickers. How did we miss this? Jason's voice was hollow. Because we trusted them, I whispered. My family had put the entire neighborhood at risk for kickbacks. Kids playing in the park, dogs rolling on the grass, elderly residents swimming laps, everyone exposed. The contract ends now, Jason said. I nodded. And my parents are done at the clubhouse. That was yesterday. Then the birthday gift arrived, the final slap. Dylan's way of saying play along or else. The message was clear. Keep the contract. Keep quiet. And there's more where this came from. Refuse. And well, we were about to find out exactly what came next. The smell hit first, that sweet, wrong chemical odor drifting from the common area lawns after every maintenance day. Residents started complaining in the neighborhood Facebook group. My dog won't stop scratching. My kids' eyes are burning after the pool. But it wasn't until Karen called an emergency board meeting, smiling that fake concerned smile, that I knew how deep the rot went. We must protect property values, she'd said, clipboard in hand, while behind closed doors she and my parents had been signing off on every shady delivery. I picked up the box again, feeling its weight like a lead anchor. Tomorrow we'd drive it straight back to my parents' house and hand them their termination papers along with the contract cancellation. But tonight, I sat in the empty clubhouse after dark, surrounded by photos of every community event we'd hosted. Kids laughing at the splash pad before the chemicals. Families grilling at picnics before the food poisoning started creeping in. The HOA was supposed to be our extended family. Now it felt like a trap I'd helped build. Sunday morning came too fast. I'd barely slept, drafting the termination letter in my head while Karen's last email echoed. Any changes to vendors require full board approval. Eva dear, we wouldn't want to violate our own covenants. Yeah, because finding Mrs. Alvarez for her garden gnomes was more important than kids getting chemical burns. Jason found me at 5 a.m., staring at the watch. We could sell it, he offered softly. Donate the money to fix the playground. No, I said, picking up the box. They need to know we can't be bought. We drove to my parents' house in silence. The ranch looked the same. Dad's perfect hedges, ironic, since his new contractor was killing everyone else's. Mom's garden gnomes standing guard like tiny traitors. I knocked instead of using my key. Mom answered, eyes swollen. Eva, thank God. I was up all night. We're here to return this, I said, holding out the box. And to give you these. Jason handed her 2 envelopes. 1, their termination from all HOA admin duties. 2, the formal cancellation of Premier Ground Services. Dad appeared behind her, fully dressed at dawn. You're making a mistake. The only mistake was trusting you, I said, setting the watch on their hall table. We know everything. The relabeled chemicals, the expired pesticides, the kickbacks. Did you even think about the kids getting rashes or the flooding in the lower lots because the drainage was never fixed properly? Mom's hands fluttered to her throat. That wasn't supposed to happen. Dylan said it was just creative packaging. Everyone does it. Dylan's involved? I asked, already knowing. Dad nodded quietly. He said if we got the HOA to sign, he'd get a finder's fee, enough to clear our debts. The story spilled out. Credit cards they hid, a second mortgage, online gambling that spiraled. They owed 40 grand. Dylan promised this deal would fix everything. So you sold out the whole neighborhood, Jason said from the doorway, voice low and dangerous. You put children at risk for money. It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone, Mom sobbed. Dylan promised. Dylan lied. I cut her off. And you chose to believe him because it was easy and profitable. Dad tried one last dignity play. We're your parents. Family. Family doesn't poison the community for profit, I said. You have until Monday to clean out your desks at the clubhouse. And if you take anything that doesn't belong to you, we'll add theft to the charges when we report this. I watched them leave, Mom crying, Dad silent. 20 years of sacrifice gone in one morning. That night the watch sat on their table like a tombstone for the family I thought I had. But Karen wasn't done. She'd been texting my parents nonstop, coordinating. Monday morning the board meeting was a circus. Karen stood at the head of the table in her pastel power suit, smiled tight as a drum. Before we vote on this unfortunate contract change, I feel it's my duty to share some concerning information. She clicked her laptop. A photo filled the screen, the watch on what looked like Jason's wrist. Photoshopped perfectly. It appears our treasurer and her husband have been living rather large on HOA funds. Gasps around the table. My blood turned ice. That was a bribe we returned immediately, I said, voice steady. I have timestamps, photos, everything. Karen's laugh was light and deadly. Of course you do, dear. But the community deserves transparency. Property values are at stake. She passed out printed screenshots from a neighborhood Facebook group already exploding with the image. HOA treasurer caught with luxury watch. Where did the money come from? The comments were vicious. Residents I'd helped for years now calling me a thief. The meeting ended with the contract termination barely passing. thanks to two honest board members who'd seen the rashes firsthand. But Karen had already won the narrative. By lunch, the group was flooded with posts. Eva Bennett driving a new car while our lawns die. None of it true. All of it planted. My phone wouldn't stop. Reporters from the local paper. Donors pulling pledges for the annual 4th of July picnic. Karen sent a personal email. For the good of the community, perhaps you and Jason should step down until this blows over. Translation: resign or we'll make your life hell. That afternoon, 3 more kids showed up at the pediatrician with chemical burns. One was 8-year-old Emma, same age as our niece. Her mom posted in the group with photos, tagging me directly. Is this what our dues pay for? I wanted to scream the truth, but Jason stopped me. Not yet. We document everything. We spent the evening photographing every invoice. Every delivery truck we'd follow to the warehouse on the edge of town where workers were peeling old labels and slapping on new ones. Through my phone zoom, I'd caught Dylan's Tesla parked out back. Evidence. But Karen moved faster. Tuesday, the first violation notices hit our door. Grass half an inch too long. Impossible. We mowed yesterday. Flagpole 3 inches over code. Even a complaint about our Christmas lights, still up in July. Fines totaling $800. For property values, the notice read in Karen's perfect cursive. The pounding on our door at 2 a.m. made us both bolt upright. Jason grabbed the baseball bat we kept in the closet. I peered through the peephole. Dylan, of course, reeking of whiskey and desperation. I know you're awake, he called through the door. We need to talk now. Go away, or I'm calling the police, I said. 5 minutes. Eva, you owe me that. I owed him nothing. But Jason nodded. Let him in. I'm recording. Dylan pushed past me, eyes wild. You have no idea what you've done. He paced our living room like a caged coyote. No fucking idea. Language, I said automatically. The big sister reflex still there. He laughed, sharp and ugly. Really? You're worried about my language while people are threatening to break my legs. What people? Jason demanded. The real owners behind Premier Grounds. You think this was just about cheap fertilizer? That was supposed to be temporary. Cut corners for a few months. Maximize profits. Then clean up. But you had to play hero. I stared at my baby brother, the one I taught to ride a bike, and saw a stranger. Kids got rashes. Dylan. Pools made people sick. Homes flooded because the drainage work was garbage. What did you expect us to do? He snapped. Look the other way like everyone else until it fixes itself. He collapsed onto the couch, head in hands. I'm in deep. Eva, 50 grand up front. Another 100 when the contract hits 6 months. If it falls apart, they'll come for me. He showed us a photo, his Tesla windshield smashed. Payment due spray painted across the hood. Go to the police, Jason said. Dylan's laugh was bitter. With what? I'm already in the fraud. They'll arrest me too. You took $50,000 from these people, I whispered. I had debts, the kind where they don't send polite letters. He stopped at the window, staring into the dark street. Mom and Dad refinanced their house for me. If this collapses, they lose everything. The manipulation was breathtaking. He'd used their desperation, their trust, our entire community. What do you want? I asked. Reinstate the contract. Just 6 months. I'll make sure the chemicals are safe this time, I swear. Give me time to pay them back. Then I disappear. Jason stood. Get out. Dylan's face twisted. They'll hurt me. Eva, these aren't people who accept apologies. Then run, I said. But we're not risking the neighborhood for your mistakes. He stared at me. Years of shared history crumbling. You let them hurt your own brother. You stopped being my brother the moment you put a price on children's health. He left with one last warning. When this goes bad, and it will, remember you chose strangers over family. The door clicked shut. Jason checked the locks, then pulled me close. He's going to escalate. I knew. Through the window, I watched his damaged Tesla disappear. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Your brother owes us. We collect. Think about your next move. Screenshot. Block. Tomorrow we file everything. It started with a single post in the Willow Creek Facebook group. HOA treasurer living large while our kids get chemical burns. Check out this $15,000 watch HOA scandal. The photo was the same photoshopped image Karen had shown at the board meeting. By lunch, it had 3,000 shares. The story grew tentacles. Jason buying luxury cars with dues money. Us vacationing on community funds while lawns died. Karen reposted it from her official HOA page with the caption, "Transparency matters." Property values are everyone's responsibility. Her followers, mostly the same retired busybodies who loved reporting flag violations, piled on. I always knew something was off with Eva. No wonder my pool turned green. My phone rang nonstop. Board members demanding explanations. Residents I'd helped for years now avoiding eye contact at the mailbox. 3 major sponsors pulled out of the Labor Day barbecue. The Community Foundation requested an emergency audit of the books. At least the health inspector visit would clear us. Jason said, trying to stay positive. But I saw the strain, the way his jaw clenched every time another violation notice arrived. On day 3, someone leaked edited emails. My message, "We need to end the premier contract," twisted into proof I was dropping legitimate vendors for kickbacks. How did they get our emails? I asked our IT guy. He looked uncomfortable. Your parents had admin access. Another betrayal. Volunteers started quitting the event committee, not because they believed the lies, but because the harassment was too much. Maybe we should step down, Jason said one night after another day of damage control. Let the board appoint interim people until this blows over. That's exactly what Karen wants, I answered. She needs us gone so she can quietly reinstate the contract and keep the kickbacks flowing. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. This can all go away. You know what to do. The link led to a folder of real photos. Us at home. Shopping. Walking the dog. We're watching you. Stalking. Harassment. We went to the police. The detective assigned was Catherine Rodriguez. Tired eyes that had seen too many neighborhood wars. She spread our evidence, photos of the warehouse, relabeled drums of chemicals, threatening texts. Solid timeline, she said, but I need direct links. My brother admitted it. My parents confirmed the kickbacks. Hearsay without recordings. She sighed. Keep documenting. People like your brother always slip. She was right. 2 days later, Dylan slipped. Hard. Mom called sobbing. Those people came to the house. They said next time call Detective Rodriguez. I told her. You did this. She hung up on me. Our lawyer dug deeper. Premier Grounds was shells all the way down. But the ultimate owner traced to a larger operation linked to multiple HOA scams across 3 states. Toxic materials. Money laundering through maintenance contracts. The case escalated. Federal agents got involved. The raid on the warehouse hit the news. Multi-state HOA contractor fraud ring busted. Our community was named as victims, not perpetrators. The fake posts vanished overnight. The attack stopped. Dylan was arrested at his apartment. Tesla seized. Karen's face when the agents showed up at her McMansion was priceless, clipboard shaking. Perfect smile finally cracking as they read her rights for conspiracy and wire fraud. The image of Dylan in cuffs made the front page. Karen followed the next day, escorted out of her house in handcuffs while neighbors filmed from their perfectly manicured lawns. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow. Mom called one last time from the county jail. I hope you're happy. Your brother's going to prison. He's going because he committed crimes, I said, not because I reported them. We're being charged too, conspiracy. Our lawyer says 5 years. I close my eyes. I'm sorry it came to this. No, you're not, she spat. You chose strangers over family. The line went dead. Last time we ever spoke, the investigation revealed the full scope. 14 HOAs across 6 states targeted. Thousands of residents exposed to toxic chemicals. Laundered money topping $10 million. Our lawyer was blunt. You'll need to testify. It won't be easy. We knew. Karen and my parents were trying to cut deals, testify against Dylan and the bigger fish for reduced sentences. Dylan was looking at 20 years minimum. The good news, the HOA audit cleared us completely. The investigation proved we acted immediately once we saw the damage. Donors started calling again, many increasing pledges. Volunteers returned. The community slowly healed. 6 months later, I stood in the same kitchen where the watch had arrived. Morning light streaming through windows we'd finally repaired after the flooding. The clubhouse fridge hummed with fresh, verified supplies. Everything looked normal, but nothing would ever be the same. Morning maintenance crew arrived. New contractor weed vetted within an inch of its life. Marcus, our head groundskeeper, checked every drum against the invoice. We all did now. Trauma leaves habits. The trial had ended 2 weeks ago. Dylan got 15 years, eligible for parole in 10. My parents received 3 years each, likely out in 18 months. Karen got 7. Turns out she'd been skimming dues on top of the kickbacks. I testified for 2 days. Every word another nail in the coffin of the family I once knew. You did what you had to, the prosecutor said afterward. Necessity didn't make it easier. Jason found me later staring at a letter from Mom in prison. Her handwriting perfect, as always. She wrote about the prison garden club, the library, learning real accounting this time. No mention of forgiveness. No request to visit. Just facts. Like a stranger updating another stranger. Do you want to write back? Jason asked. I don't know what I'd say. We'd rebuilt everything else. Donors returned stronger. Volunteers doubled. We hosted the biggest Labor Day barbecue yet. Safe food. Safe pool. Honest laughter. Each event carefully sourced and prepared. The community trusted us more than before. Surviving the scandal had somehow made us stronger. But you can't rebuild family like you rebuild fences. A knock at the door. I expected another reporter. Instead, a young woman in a worn coat held a toddler's hand. You don't know me. I'm Sarah. This is Emma. We used to come to the splash pad before. Her voice broke. When the chemicals were bad. My chest tightened. I'm so sorry. No, she cut me off. I wanted to thank you. Emma has severe allergies. If she kept swimming in that water, she knelt to Emma's level. The little girl smiled, gap-toothed and bright. Juice? She asked hopefully. Of course. Sweetheart. Marcus makes the best apple juice. After they left, I sat in the quiet dining hall. The wall of thank you notes had grown, letters from residents we'd protected, volunteers who stayed, donors who never left. In the center was a photo from last week's barbecue. 300 people laughing, eating together under the new safe lights. Dylan would say I chose strangers over family. He was wrong. These weren't strangers. They were my community, my responsibility, my real family, the one you choose. Ready for lunch prep? Jason asked, tying on his apron. I nodded. In an hour, this room would fill with voices, needs, and hope. We'd serve good food, safe, honest, with love instead of lies. The industrial mixer word to life, drowning out my phone buzzing with another call from the detention center. Some calls you don't answer. Some bridges stay burnt. Some choices, even the right ones, leave scars that never quite heal. But tomorrow Emma would come back for more apple juice. Marcus would check every delivery twice. Jason would crack his terrible jokes while flipping burgers. And I would be here where I belonged, feeding my chosen family one honest meal at a time. The watch, that gleaming symbol of everything corrupt, had been sold at federal auction. Proceeds went to victims of the fraud ring. I like to think someone honest is wearing it now, checking the time on their way to a job they earned fairly. As for me, I had all the time I needed, time to rebuild, time to serve, time to prove integrity beats greed every single time. Sometimes the family you lose makes room for the community you gain. The lunch crowd started arriving. I took my place at the serving line, ladling fresh lemonade made with ingredients we could trust, bought from suppliers we'd verified. Prepare with care instead of kickbacks. Welcome to Willow Creek, I said to each person. We're glad you're here. And I meant it, every word, every time, because this honest work, this simple service, this complicated grace, this was home now. The only home that mattered. The past was done, the future uncertain. But today we had safe pools, green lawns that didn't burn skin, open doors, and second chances. It was enough. More than enough. It was everything. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. Don't forget to subscribe and tell me, what would you have done if your own family tried to poison the whole neighborhood for a quick buck? Hit like if you're team justice, and share if you've ever dealt with your own HOA Karen. See you in the next one, where another entitled president learns the hard way that some residents fight back.